51 over here. I hope you're having a splendid day wherever you are in the world. And guys, it's that time once again. It's time for another Motorsport Lounge podcast. This time talking about the Azerbaijan Grand Prix about a week and a half ago. Yes, I know I'm late. It's been a crazy 2 weeks, guys. And guys, unfortunately today's podcast, just like the first podcast this year about Bahrain, I'll be doing this one alone. Unfortunately, all the other Motorsport Lounge members are very busy, and some of them have had a little bit of a scrap with COVID. So yeah, please just drop a like down below to show your love towards all the Motorsport Lounge members, and I'm sure we're going to have somebody back for the next podcast, which is going to be about France, which is this weekend. Guys, big news in the Formula 1 community. We've got our first triple header of the year, meaning we're going to have 3 races, 3 weekends in a row, starting off with France. Then next weekend we're going to have Styria, which will be at the Austrian Grand Prix, but due to contract clauses, the Grand Prix's name can't be used twice in one season. So we're going to have 2 races at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, but the first one is going to be called the Styrian Grand Prix, and the second weekend in Austria will be called the Austrian Grand Prix. So it's going to be a very interesting 3 weeks, and I'm going to be very busy editing podcasts, but you know that is all nice and dandy. Now guys, the first thing before we head into anything about the podcast that I quickly have to do, you guys did realize in last podcast that we got 2 new members towards the Motorsport Lounge. We also lost 1, added 2, and now we've added another 2. So the Motorsport Lounge is now officially full with 8 members. And to any of the girls who watch this podcast, don't you guys worry. Well, don't you gals worry. We've got more than enough females on the Motorsport Lounge group. We are 4 guys and 4 gals, and while I talk about everybody, you guys are going to see pictures of them on screen, but just so that you guys know the team behind these episodes that helped me out with the predictions, with the driver ratings, helping me write the script about the talking points and everything, everybody on here has helped me with a podcast, and this is the team now until the end of the season. Now guys, unfortunately the first person I will be talking about is Adrian. He is unfortunately no longer a part of the Motorsport Lounge, guys. His life is just too busy, and he felt that it's just better to give somebody else a chance to enjoy this. Hopefully he will make a return in the future, but for now he is no longer part of the Motorsport Lounge. But now, the members of the Motorsport Lounge are obviously me. You guys are going to see a pretty little picture of my face and my beautiful golden hair on the screen. My real name is it's such a crappy name to say in English because I'm an Afrikaner. Not the point. My name is Dirk. Why does it sound so stupid? D-I-R-K. But you guys know me as Turbo or Turbocharged 51, and we'll stick with that. Then we've got Demi. Oh guys, by the way, all of their Instagram handles will be down low in the description down below, so go check them out on social media if you want. Then you've got Demi, who is number 2. Her Instagram handle is SemiDemi, and she is just as crazy about Formula 1 as I am, and an amazing girl, and I am very proud to have her a part of the Motorsport Lounge. Then obviously you guys know him as Boosted, but he is my best friend, and his real life name is Gerard. He is my best friend. He's also been on this group since the very beginning. So basically my 2 F1 crazy best friends. Then third we've got Jess, which is a new member to the Motorsport Lounge group, guys. Now she is actually Adrian, which we lost. Oh boy, my English today. She is Adrian's boyfriend. Idiot. She is Adrian's girlfriend. Oh my word. So she has basically taken his place, and she is very excited to be a part of the Motorsport Lounge team. Now guys, she is a new fan to F1, and that is the whole point of the Motorsport Lounge group. I don't just want a bunch of die-hard F1 fans since you've fallen out of your mum. I want some new fans and everything, so you guys can have an experience about hardcore fans like myself, Demi and Boosted, and new fans like Jess and a few of the other people also on the group. Then you've got her brother Jonny, who's also been on the group for a while now. He's also a new F1 fan, guys, but he is passionate about F1 like I've never seen a new fan before. I've had a bit of an influence on that. Not the point, but I love you, Jonny, and thanks for being a part of the team. Then we've got Melanie. Now guys, I've known Melanie for many years. You guys are going to see her pretty face on the screen, and even though I've known her for years, I've only recently discovered that she's a kind of a big Formula One fan, and it was just like, do you want to be a part of the Motorsport Lounge? I mean, we do podcasts about the real life Formula One. I mean, come on, this sounds like right up your alley. She said yes almost immediately, and she has been a Formula One fan for a fair few years now, so she's got a good knowledge, a good working knowledge of Formula One, and I'm proud to have Melanie part of the team. She's also one of my very good friends. And then the final two members and the two latest members to the Motorsport Lounge, Janco is first. Now guys, he's basically he's one of my new friends. He's an insanely cool guy, always quick with a joke. He's also like Jonny and Jess, he's a new fan to Formula One, but he's very excited about this season, and he can't wait for the races to happen. So I think between Jonny and Janco for these next 3 weeks of the triple header, they are going to be spamming me with Formula One content over WhatsApp. I think I might even be like, guys, just take a break. Not the point. And then finally, the cute one to the group, also a new Formula One fan. It's Jadepie. Now, guys, her real name is Jade, but we call her Jadepie. Like I said, there will be a picture on screen. And she is also a new fan to Formula One, and she's also she really quickly got passionate about this. So I love every second of it. So basically, it's me, Boosted, Demi, and Melanie who will be the ones with a lot of F1 knowledge, and then the new fans, which are gonna be more upwards of the alley of guys who don't watch Formula One as much as the hardcore fans. That would be Jess, Jonny, Janco, and Jadepie. But you guys are eventually gonna hear from them all on the podcast eventually this year. But guys, that is the Motorsport Lounge team. Now you guys know how we look, you guys know who we are, and if you guys ever want a Q&A session where we just do a podcast where you guys send us questions and stuff, drop a like down below on the video and make sure you type it in the comments. And also guys, while you're down there, make sure to hit the subscribe down below, and don't forget to ding that bell if you are new to Turbo Fox Races. Go check out the other content on the channel, and make sure to go check out the links in the description down below. Let's get into what you guys are here for. Let's get into the talking points for the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And this is the only part that sucks when you do it alone, because you usually want to communicate with someone, but it's okay. I will forgive my Motorsport Lounge members. They're making me sad, but it's okay. Now guys, first of all, let's address the elephant in the room. And that is the Pirelli tires. Guys, we have had two massive failures with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in the form of Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen with 4 laps to go. Now Stroll was around about lap 30 where he had his tire failure. Max was literally with 4 laps to go while he was leading the race, and both failures were the left rear tire. Now, literally earlier late last night, Pirelli released a statement why the tire failures happened, but it's pretty clear that the Formula One teams are not very acceptable of their reasoning. And to be quite honest, the same goes for me. Let me quickly see if I can find that post so I can actually read it to you guys, so you guys will understand what the situation is. Okay, here we go. Pirelli has concluded its investigation into the tyre failures at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Verstappen and Stroll suffered left rear tyre punctures, and Pirelli's initial suspicion was that debris on track was the cause of the punctures. However, after further analysis at its Milan HQ, that's Pirelli's HQ, this was the conclusion. And I quote, "The process established that there was no production or quality defect on any of the tires, nor was there any sign of fatigue or delamination. In each case, this was down to a circumferential break on the inner sidewall, which can be related to the running conditions of the tire, minimum pressure and maximum blanket temperature. In spite of the prescribed starting parameters having been followed, F1 teams are only required to run tires at the minimum tire pressure when they are first fitted to the cars, as there are no requirements for them to maintain pressure once the car is out on track. This means that the way in which some teams use the tires use the tires on track during the weekend is the cause of the failures. Although Red Bull has commented in a statement that it followed all the recommendations given. To ensure this does not happen again, protocols will be changed and there will be new technical directives in France to monitor tire conditions during the weekend. Now, I'm very grateful that they're going to use new methods to make sure that we don't have these insane tire failures again. But guys, I've got a simple solution towards this, and it's been something that the F1 community has been talking about for basically the past 3 to 4 years now. And basically that is ban one-stop strategies and enforce at least a two-stop strategy. Just hear me out. First of all, the tires basically failed because they were running too long and too hard on the cars. I mean, look how early Max pitted in the race, and Stroll's tire failed because he started the race on the tire. So those tires had to go through heavy fuel and Stroll pushing to actually get into the points, and when he pitted to still come out in the points. Stroll was pushing that entire first stint. And then Max's tires, I mean, Max put on those hards very early. I mean, all the drivers basically, when they pitted, put the hard tires on early, and they still had these insane failures. And the thing is, the tires failed at high speed when the tires inner heat couldn't handle it anymore. I mean, Max's tire popped at over 325 kilometers an hour. Stroll's tire popped a little bit earlier, but he was still over 300 kilometers an hour. That final chicane in Azerbaijan, that flat out chicane, when they go through the right-hander, which is the final corner, they are already on 300 kilometers an hour. That's insane speed, and to have a crash at that speed is extremely dangerous. And I mean, why I say ban one stops and enforce two stops or more? Well, basically I just said enforce two stops, but if you enforce two stops, some teams can go 3-4 stops, whatever they want to do. But basically this is the thing. One stops makes the racing boring, because you know a team is just going to stretch their first tire, just get onto the second set of tires and just run to the end. Two stops make the race more exciting. No matter how you look at it, two stops makes the racing more exciting. So from our perspective as fans, we are going to enjoy the racing more. And also, the main thing, it's the safety of the drivers. And this is not the first time that we've had failures like this. Look at Silverstone last year, the British Grand Prix, the first British Grand Prix of the two that we had last year. Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, and I think one of the Alpha Towers, I think Danny Kvyat, had tire failures from 10 laps to go towards the final lap. Lewis finished the race on 3 tires. And yes, that was a very exciting ending, and that was one of the best British Grand Prix we've had in years. But, that is still very dangerous for the drivers. That is not fair towards these drivers who put their lives on the line, climbing into these insane machines. The fastest Formula 1 cars we've had ever, last year's cars was quicker, but this year's cars are just a slight step behind them. They are in the fastest machines in the world, and they now, all of a sudden, all these drivers have got in the back of their head, I might have a tire failure at 300 kilometers an hour. That's not fair towards the driver. That's not fair towards their safety. And you've got nothing to lose by banning one stops. The drivers are safer. The racing gets more exciting, and you've got a bigger spectacle for the fans. I mean, and that is what Formula 1 have stated. They want the racing to be more exciting to gain more fans. So why don't they just make this easy adjustment, ban one stops, enforce two stops, and everybody is happy? It's all nice and dandy. That is my personal solution. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, but that's such a... It doesn't really work that way. And I know that. But it's an easy solution. And it's a solution that will work if you enforce it. And you've got this entire fruit bowl of strategies that can happen, and it makes the racing just so much more exciting. If you enforce two stops, say you start on the mediums, you go to the hard, you run to where there's about 10 to 20 laps to go, you strap on the soft and you have a banger of an ending, and there's a bunch of overtakes at the end of the race. Which F1 fan is not going to love that? So there's many rules that you can establish to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But I personally feel the best thing to do is to ban one stops and enforce two stops. And guys, I'm still gonna rant on about this topic a little bit more, because not so much with Stroll's accident, because there were double waved yellows immediately, but with Max's crash at the end of the race, guys. And basically the thing that I basically wrote down in my script was Max could have died, and this is the reason why. I don't know if you guys heard, while the red flag was out, if you watched the race live, there was a bunch of back and forth between Michael Massey, the race director for the stewards, and the team principals like Toto Wolff, Zach Brown, Christian Horner, all these guys, and some of the race strategists for the drivers. There were constant over radio talking about just stop the race, and not just that, but give certain drivers penalties because they didn't slow down for Max's crash. Now basically the end of that was Michael Massey said not one driver on that grid slowed it down for Max's crash. Nobody did. Everybody just blasted past. Now if we look back to one of the recent tragedies in Formula 1, or well, Formula 2, was the 2019 Belgian Grand Prix, where we unfortunately lost Antoine Hubert. And guys, basically the reason Antoine died in that accident is Formula 1 and Formula 2 cars are not built to have more than one impact. These chassis are built for one intense impact, and that's that. The thing is, remember, Max already made quite big contact with the wall. Now imagine Lewis Hamilton, who was behind him, hit Verstappen at 320 kilometers an hour on the side pod. Max would not have survived, and Lewis himself would have had extremely bad injuries. He probably would have had some, like maybe a broken leg or a fractured ankle or something like that. You can't take these risks. There needs to be a much better communication towards the drivers when there's an accident like Max's. You basically slam on the brakes. And I know you've got drivers behind you and everything, but this needs to be something that instantly appears on the driver's steering wheels, because I mean they've got a bloody screen right in front of them. Instant double waved yellows, slow down immediately. Because if it wasn't for Max just staying on the right side of the road, if Max's car actually ricocheted off of the right side barrier of the track and went back onto the left, I can guarantee you guys somebody would have driven into Max. And then we might have been sitting here today, and we might have been in a very, very heartbroken state, because Max Verstappen might not have been with us anymore. Think about that for a second. The drivers, there needs to be a much clearer communication towards the drivers when it comes to a dangerous situation on track with a big accident like that. It needs to be an immediate red flag or instant double waved yellows, or something needs to happen for the drivers to realize they need to slow down, because literally every single driver still came past Max at least 70% speed, and that means 270 kilometers an hour plus. That is a very dangerous situation. Not even just for Max and for the other driver that might hit him, but for every marshal on the side of that track and every person that is around that area. That is an extremely dangerous scenario. And that is something that cannot be tolerated in Formula 1. Personally, if I was Michael Massey, every single driver except for Max would have gotten some sort of penalty points on their license or something, because Max's life was in danger in that situation, and that is not fair towards Max Verstappen or towards the people around that car, the marshals. There were some fans at Azerbaijan sitting in the grandstand, because basically a crash at 300 plus kilometers an hour, those cars will explode. It will be carbon fiber flying everywhere. That is not a safe situation, and like I said, that is not something that should be tolerated. If even though I'm not Michael Massey, but if I was Michael Massey, he said at the end of the race that all the drivers in the next drivers briefing will have a very strict talk. He will talk to them very strict and very directly, but that is still not enough. The drivers need to know you can't do that, and I would have at least given them all one penalty point on their super license. That is what I personally would have done, but that is just a little old me. But guys, away from the bad news, let's get into the good news. And my next topic is Baku provides again. Guys, there hasn't been an Azerbaijan Grand Prix that has been boring. Unlike France and Russia, Azerbaijan provides every single time we go to this track. And Azerbaijan gets so much hate on social media for it being a crappy circuit. If you look at the real life Grand Prix and how much the drivers enjoy driving around Azerbaijan, you're biting at air. This is a fantastic circuit, and there's a reason this is my favorite circuit on the current F1 calendar. It incorporates everything of a proper city street circuit and a proper track for overtaking, as well as for some very high pressure situations. Azerbaijan is an exceptional track, and once again, to me, this was the most dramatic race of the season. I wouldn't say it was the best race of the season, but definitely the most dramatic race of the season, and that is what we F1 fans want. We want to be on the edge of our seats from the 5 red lights till the checkered flag. And that is exactly what Baku provided this week. An absolutely phenomenal track that I believe should not go off the F1 calendar. It is phenomenal. Now, next topic, talking about my team, Scuderia Ferrari. And guys, honestly, remember in the previous podcast, Boosted asked me, well, do you think Ferrari is back? And after this weekend in Azerbaijan, I honestly want to say I think they are, but they still need to work on their race pace. It's clear that Ferrari is, when it comes to a Saturday, oh my word, so excuse my pronunciation, when it comes to a Saturday, they are already on point with their qualifying pace, but they need to work on their race pace for Sundays. If we look at Charles Leclerc's start to the Grand Prix, beautiful start, definitely was quicker than Lewis, but within 15 laps, Lewis and Max were past Charles. The Ferrari doesn't have as good race pace as the Red Bull and the Mercedes. Ferrari have sorted out Saturdays, they just need to sort out Sundays. And guys, trust me, I'm over the moon with the fact that Ferrari is back at the front of the field, and I hope they stay there for the rest of the season. But if they want to stay there, they need to work on their race pace. Quali pace, sorted. Just work on that race pace, because that is what's going to get them the critical points to actually beat McLaren this year to 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship, because that is Ferrari's goal. And at this stage of the season, I honestly would say I think Ferrari are the quicker team when you look at Ferrari and McLaren. McLaren aren't far behind, but Ferrari is the quicker car. And every weekend that there's a race, I feel McLaren as well as Ferrari are ever so slightly closer to Mercedes. So Mercedes and Red Bull, like me and Booster said earlier this year with a few of the podcasts, Mercedes and Red Bull need to be careful to not focus too much on each other and forget about Ferrari and McLaren coming from behind, because those two teams want to be back at the front fighting for top points. So honestly, I hope McLaren and Ferrari keep going forward and they keep progressing towards the front, because if we've got 4 teams battling for wins, 8 cars, that is going to be absolutely damn phenomenal. But back to the point about Ferrari, epic quali pace, but they need to work on their race pace a little bit more. But still, I'm very glad to see them back at the front. And honestly, when it comes to Charles, he had a fantastic weekend. Carlos unfortunately had a bad mistake heading into the castle section, but he still recovered fantastically to still get into the points. So it was overall a solid weekend from Ferrari. Now, into the next topic. Oh boy. Guys, what the hell is going on with Nikita Mazepin? Once again, this weekend, after Mick Schumacher had a pit stop where his left front wheel nut was not tightened properly, he had to stop before exiting the pit lane, be pushed back, have the nut properly tightened, and then went out. And when the red flag struck after Max's crash, Schumacher was 58 seconds ahead of Nikita Mazepin. After all that happened, how on earth is Mazepin driving so slowly? How on earth is Schumacher absolutely annihilating Mazepin so easily? He actually in Spain, and what was before Spain, Monaco, Mazepin had some solid results. He was actually at certain stages in those weekends better than Schumi, but he just disappeared this weekend. And guys, honestly, my mid-season prediction, with all honesty, I think Haas is going to drop Mazepin before we start the second half of the season after Hungary. I think by the summer break, Mazepin's going to be out of Formula 1, and we're going to have somebody new next to Mick Schumacher. I honestly think so, because Mazepin is just not doing anything. He's just there. He's just, nah. So just an absolutely horrendous weekend from Mazepin, even though he didn't crash or spin or something. No, he did actually spin in practice. I think he spun twice, not the point. Mazepin, whatever you want to call him, he's not on Formula 1 standards as things stand now, and I think pretty soon he is going to lose his seat if he doesn't pull his finger out of his butt. Now, guys, the next topic is a very controversial one, because literally in the past 30 podcasts, I've defended this driver with everything in me, but after the absolutely trash weekend that he's had, my mind is made up. Get Bottas out of the Merc and replace him with either George Russell or Esteban Ocon. Guys, Ocon has had a phenomenal start to this 2021 season. Ocon is still under contract with Mercedes. He is a loan unit to Alpine. And obviously with all these young drivers in F2 like Guan Yu Zhou and a few other F2 drivers that are really doing well this weekend, Renault have got a replacement for Ocon if he decides to leave. Obviously, I know everybody's going to be like, put Russell in the Mercedes. We need someone to actually beat Hamilton, blah, 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 blah. Guys, I honestly feel Esteban Ocon deserves it more than Russell. Ocon had a fantastic 2017 and 2018 driving for, well, they are now Aston Martin. They were back then Force India. He gave Perez a hell of a time, and he was an absolutely phenomenal driver. 2019 came. He was out for a season because he couldn't get a drive. 2020 came and Mercedes loaned him to Renault. And I'm not going to lie, 2020 against Ricciardo, Ocon did not have a good season. But 2021, with the Renault team now being Alpine, Ocon, and even though this pains me to say it because Alonso is my role model in life, he's my hero, Ocon is absolutely spanking Alonso so far this season. Ocon is out driving, outperforming, out everything. That's not even a word, not the point. I'm trying to be funny and I'm not really funny, not the point. He's literally outperforming Alonso on every single situation this year so far. And Russell, to me, has not had a very good start to 2021. Yes, he's had some shine performances, but like me and Boosted said in some previous podcasts, just maybe 1 or 2 more seasons with Williams is really gonna make Russell grow, and it's gonna make him realize what it is to be in a slow car. And at this stage, Russell is really starting to get that Williams to slowly but surely become a midfield team. I think next year with the big technical regulation change, that car is going to be a midfield car. I honestly believe that because Russell is developing that car with Williams and Latifi so well that it's not possible for that car to still be slow come 2022. Now, the thing is, put Ocon in that Mercedes alongside Lewis Hamilton. See if he is a Valtteri Bottas 2.0, whether he's going to be the perfect support driver, or whether he's going to be actually a rival for Lewis. The thing is, Mercedes want this situation. They want to avoid a Rosberg 2016 situation where basically there was war within the Mercedes team thanks to Hamilton and Rosberg eventually hating each other and because they fought for the world title. And if they don't want that situation again, they're not going to put Russell in the car. I believe Russell is going to get a Mercedes seat as soon as Hamilton is out of the team. As soon as Hamilton decides he's hanging up his boots, he's hanging up his gloves and his helmet, he's going to retire. Then Mercedes are going to say, okay, Russell, you get the former world champion seat, go. But until Hamilton is no longer Mercedes' golden boy, that I know that sounds very rude, but I don't mean that in a rude fashion at all. But as long as Hamilton is Mercedes' the apple of their eye, they're not going to put a driver in that second seat that's going to rival Lewis because they want to avoid what they had with Rosberg in 2016. So I feel Russell is a better driver than Ocon. Once again, no disrespect towards Esteban, no whatsoever. Esteban is a fantastic driver, but Russell is going to be Rosberg 2.0, and Mercedes wants a Bottas 2.0, and I think that is what they have in Ocon. I think Ocon is going to be quicker than Bottas. He's going to be rivaling Lewis a bit more than Bottas, but he's not going to be a world championship contender as long as Lewis is in that car. And then you get the situation, Lewis eventually hangs up his helmet, you get Russell in the car. Imagine the absolute insane championship battle we will be able to have if you've got Russell and Ocon in the Mercedes. Just imagine that. That is going to be absolutely exceptional. And that is what I think Mercedes are heading towards. There's been recent rumors that Russell is maybe getting a 2022 seat. But with all due respect to all the rumor pages on Instagram and Twitter, I don't believe that. Because I know, and Mercedes have actually mentioned this in interviews, they don't want a Mercedes 2016 Rosberg v Hamilton situation. And I'm sorry, but if you get Russell in that car, who is determined to be a future world champ, he's not going to give a crap about what Mercedes says. He's going to fight Hamilton. And that is not what Mercedes want. They need a Bottas 2.0. Well, they want a Bottas 2.0, even though I feel they need a Rosberg 2.0. But the perfect substitute for Bottas is Ocon. And the reason I said get Bottas out of Merc, guys, where has Bottas been the past 3 weekends? Yes, Monaco, I get it. It was not Bottas's fault. That was a stupid failure that was out of his control. But you head back to Spain, Bottas was stuck for half the race behind Charles Leclerc, and that ruined his Grand Prix. You head to Monaco, good solid weekend, outperforms Hamilton, but yeah, DNF. And now you go to Azerbaijan, and Bottas didn't even score points. Hamilton was busy fighting at the front with the 2 Red Bulls, and obviously Leclerc, which was in the beginning of the race there with his Ferrari. But Bottas qualified in P10, lost positions at the start of the race, and couldn't get past, for most of the race, past the 2 McLarens of Norris and Ricciardo. Bottas was in P12 for so much of that race, I didn't even realize he was in the race. And he is doing an absolutely terrible performance this year so far. Guys, of the 5 years he's been with Mercedes, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021, this is the season where he's gotten the least amount of points of all 5 the seasons he's been with Mercedes. That is not a statistic to be proud of. And Hamilton, once again, is absolutely annihilating Bottas, and we need a driver from another team, aka Verstappen and Red Bull, to actually give Hamilton a fight. And I'm sorry, but Bottas, even if you want just a driver to back up Lewis, if you're finishing outside the points, you're not backing up Lewis. You're not even a good second driver. And with all due respect, once again, to Bottas, and I know I've defended him a lot in the past podcasts, but just get out of the Mercedes. Bottas, I still feel, has the potential to be a future world champion, but he needs a team that's going to support him fully. Because once again, Hamilton is Mercedes' golden boy, and they will never support Bottas with everything they've got as long as Lewis is there. Get out of Mercedes, go to a team that's going to fully support you, that can give you a world championship winning car, and go for gold. But get out of Mercedes and give a young driver the chance to actually take it to Lewis. Now, heading in towards the next topic of talk, and guys, he is my second favorite driver on the grid, just behind my favorite, obviously my hero, Fernando Alonso. But I love this guy. Is Sebastian Vettel back? And honestly, I might be biting my tongue in a few weeks, but I honestly believe Seb Vettel is back. 5th place in Monaco, and he comes to Azerbaijan and he just slaps everybody in the face and he banks a P2. Guys, Vettel always, when he goes to a new team, he makes sure that he scores a podium as quickly as possible. It's only the 6th race of the season and he's 2nd place for Aston Martin. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, I know Checo Perez won and all these other things happened, but basically the fact that Vettel got a podium, not just for me but all over social media, basically downgraded the fact that Sergio Perez won his first Grand Prix for Red Bull and Pierre freaking Gasly was 3rd. I mean, Gasly was 3rd again, another podium for Gasly. this was an absolutely insane weekend, but the fact that Vettel, after the absolutely terrible run he's been having recently due to Ferrari being such an absolutely terrible team towards Vettel, I think Vettel has finally got that spunk back. He's got the Seb back. You guys know Vettel's nickname all over the paddock and all over social media is Seb. But I feel like he lost that Seb inside of him, and the past 2 weekends in Monaco and now in Azerbaijan has proven to me Vettel has got his spunk back. He's got the Seb back. And guys, Lawrence Stroll, the owner of Aston Martin, made it clear they want that team to be a world championship winning team within the next 3 to 4 years. And they've recruited Vettel as their main driver because of his experience, and they know Vettel is capable of making that a world championship winning car. And guys, I might bite my tongue again. If this never happens, I will do some sort of stupid challenge to embarrass myself, but I feel Sebastian Vettel is still going to win his 5th world championship, and mark my words, it's going to be with Aston Martin. It's going to be in that beautiful British racing green. I'm just saying. But is Vettel back? My personal opinion, oh hell yes. Hell yes, Sebastian Vettel is back. Seb is back. Now, not the best weekend from McLaren. Now, guys, basically, I know Lando finished 5th, Charles Leclerc was 4th, 3rd was Gasly, 2nd was Vettel, 1st was Perez. But basically, if it wasn't for the red flag and the safety cars, McLaren were struggling to actually stay in the points. And that is why I said earlier in the podcast that I feel Ferrari at this stage of the season are the quicker team. Now, I think Ricciardo ended P9 or P10, I'm not sure. Let me actually quickly get the results up here. Look, Norris came 5th due to the red flag. So, good recovery from Norris, but Danny Rick was 9th, so he got 2 points. But Valtteri Bottas P12, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm rather just gonna shut up. Not the point. But Danny Rick and Norris, they were the entire race, actually good weekend from Danny Rick to stay with Lando, because the entire race they were actually very close to one another. But McLaren they were nowhere. They were honestly just nowhere, and it was really a very underwhelming weekend from McLaren. So I'm a bit worried for McLaren's pace at this stage. I wonder if they've maybe already started focusing too much on their 2022 car. But yeah, I think McLaren need to wake up, because they're still firmly in the battle for P3 in the Constructors' Championship with Ferrari, and they can still easily stay in that fight. But they need to wake up, because as with not Monaco, but Spain as well. Spain was not a good weekend for McLaren. With Norris's pace, Ricciardo, I think Ricciardo got P5, but it was a good weekend from Ricciardo, but the overall general pace was not on stage with Ferrari and AlphaTauri. Then you went to Monaco. Ricciardo had an absolutely terrible weekend. Norris got a podium, but the McLaren was quick. And then now going to Azerbaijan, once again they struggled for pace. McLaren. Hi guys, Turbocharged 51 over here. Just quickly guys, we're going into the next topic, which we're talking about. The topic is Lewis Hamilton has changed. Sorry you're hearing from me once again individually. It's just the recording was a bit glitchy and laggy, but enjoy the rest of the podcast and don't forget to like. And the reason I'm saying this, I'm talking specifically about his team radio about Max. As soon as Max made the crash, the first thing that Hamilton did, he went on the radio and the first thing he asked Bono was, is Max okay? And guys, the reason I don't like Lewis Hamilton, don't get me wrong, I respect Lewis Hamilton a lot, but I don't like him. And the reason I don't like him is Lewis got cocky the past few years with all his success with Mercedes, especially after 2016 when he lost to Rosberg. Ever since Bottas came to the team and Lewis has been dominating year after year after year, Lewis, in my opinion, has got cocky and he's gotten an ego. But the past 2 years, 2020, no, actually from 2019, if I'm deadly honest, from 2019 till 2021, Lewis to me has changed a lot. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I had like an inner hatred for Hamilton. And the past few years, that hatred has really gone away. Slowly but surely, I've just gained more respect for Hamilton, and I've really been starting to see him as one of the best. I still hate those comparisons between him and Schumacher and Senna and Hakkinen and Clark and all these other drivers, because they all drove in different generations of Formula One. You can't compare them, but I will say with
Hi guys, once again it's me doing a over the podcast recording. Guys, just quickly, the podcast with the recording was a bit laggy. Just letting you guys know this so that you guys are not lost. The next topic that I'm talking about is Lewis Hamilton has changed a lot. Enjoy.
And especially the amount of care that he has for the other drivers recently. I mean, even which other race was it? Oh, also with Monaco, with Charles's crash, Lewis was one of the first drivers to come onto the radio and ask, is Charles okay? Lewis has changed a lot, and I commend him for that. That is absolutely phenomenal, and I've gained a lot more respect for Lewis. Even being in a championship fight with one of the most ruthless drivers on the grid, Max Verstappen. As soon as Max has a big accident, the first thing Lewis asks is Max okay? And that speaks volumes. I know there's a lot of Hamilton haters out there. There's more Hamilton haters than Hamilton lovers. I'm not either of the two. I'm neutral. I'm a respectful Hamilton viewer. But Hamilton has changed a lot, and I'm no longer against the idea to support Hamilton in certain situations. So well done from Lewis, and thank you for actually, if he ever hears this podcast, which I highly doubt, I have respect for Lewis Hamilton, and thank you for being someone that cares. Now guys, final topic to talk about. Those final 2 laps after the red flag restart. Guys, I know I just talked about how much respect I've got for Hamilton, but what an absolutely silly mistake. Overheating the brakes on the warm-up lap, well, the restart warm-up lap, and into the first corner, just locking up that left front tire and flat spotting the living hell out of it. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of Formula One fans are tired, me included, to see Lewis dominate. Now, he's not dominating this year, but let's be honest, we all wanted Sergio Perez to win this Grand Prix, to win his first race for Red Bull, to get that momentum boost that he needed. And what happened? Lewis overheats the brakes on the warm-up lap, and into the first corner, he's got a lock-up the length of the Great Wall of China, and Checo just cuts back, and Hamilton is out of the points, and Checo is first, Vettel is second, and Gasly is third. What an insane end to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And that comes back to my fourth point. Baku provides again. What a race. What an absolute... Guys, the midfield battle between Leclerc, Norris, Alonso, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, it was insane. Also, once again, brilliant weekend from Yuki Tsunoda, the second AlphaTauri driver. But basically, from Vettel, because obviously as soon as Perez got into the lead, he started running away a bit, but I mean, there was only 2 laps to go. But it was from Vettel all the way down to Ricciardo, there was moves being made, battles being started and ended, insane moves, slipstreaming. I mean, Alonso said on the team radio, he doesn't care whether he has to drive a bit dirty, but he said, I will get points at the end of this race. And Alonso came up all the way into 6th place. With Lando, came through the field with Lando on those final 2 laps, and it was damn phenomenal. The final 2 laps in Baku, absolutely insane, and congratulations to Sergio Perez for winning his first Grand Prix for Red Bull Racing Honda. He is now a 2-time Formula One winner, and I'm sure it's going to be the first of a few more, maybe a first of many. We never know how long Sergio's going to stay in Formula One. Hashtag wink wink nudge nudge. Now, that has been the talking points for this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, guys. Let's head into the driver ratings. Now, guys, for this weekend, we watched the Azerbaijan Grand Prix before Janco and Jadepie were added. So this was basically me, Boosted, Demi, Jess, Melanie, and Jonny, who did the driver ratings. And this is what the driver ratings ended up as. So Nikita Mazepin, 4 out of 10. Mick Schumacher, 6 out of 10. Overall, just a solid weekend from Mick. Mazepin, I think I gave Mazepin a 0. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know why the rest gave him such a high mark. Not the point. I think some of the members on the Motorsport Lounge have got a few little piglets missing. Not the point. But for the two harsh drivers, Mazepin 4 out of 10 and Mick Schumacher a 6 out of 10. Heading in towards the two Williams drivers, guys, very average weekend from Williams. Not a lot of screen time for either Russell or Latifi. Just a good solid weekend, and they both get a 5 out of 10. Heading in towards Alfa Romeo, once again, actually a pretty solid weekend from Alfa Romeo. Kimi got points at the end with the race restart. He got 10th place, and I think Giovinazzi was actually in P11 ahead of Bottas. So very solid weekend from Alfa Romeo, and both Gio and Kimi got a 7 out of 10. So beautiful weekend from Alfa Romeo. Now once again for me, heading towards the team of the weekend, guys, obviously Lance Stroll crashed out early in the race due to the whole tire failure thing, and yes, also he crashed out in qualifying. I get that. But guys, Lance Stroll was on fire at the start of that race. The only driver to start on the hard compound of tires, taking them long. And guys, when Stroll would have gotten to pit, he would have come out in the top 10. I'm almost certain about it. He drove a fantastic first stint. It's just really sad that he had a tire failure and we couldn't see what his potential was. But due to Stroll having such an amazing first stint, I didn't give him as much as the rest of the guys did. But Stroll gets an 8 out of 10, and obviously the man of the weekend, Sebastian Vettel, it's an easy 10 out of 10. I gave him an 11 because I feel that he was the driver to beat this weekend when it comes to overall pace. If all the drivers had exactly the same cars, I feel Sebastian would have been the one to win the race this weekend. But Vettel, 10 out of 10. I can't believe some people gave him an 8 out of 10 because they stole his 11 out of 10. Not the point, Demi. But guys, then we go to the two Alpines. Esteban Ocon, unfortunately, engine failure early in the race and not the best qualifying. One of Ocon's not so good weekends. Ocon gets a 4 out of 10, and Fernando Alonso, especially for those final two laps, and a solid race throughout. Not the best quali. Alpine are still struggling with quali pace, but a solid race from Fernando. He gets an 8 out of 10. Next are the two Alpha Tauris of Tsunoda and Gasly. Tsunoda, guys, this is the first weekend where Yuki Tsunoda really came to the party since Bahrain, the first race of the season. Beautiful weekend from Yuki, P7 in the end, and he gets an 8 out of 10. And then obviously third place and on the podium, Pierre freaking Gasly, 10 out of 10 for Pierre. Come on, Gasly, keep the points coming, my boy. Heading towards the two McLarens, Daniel Ricciardo gets a 6 out of 10. Like I said, guys, very average race for Danny Rick, and McLaren did struggle with pace. And Lando Norris, for that final stint, getting himself into the top 5. Norris gets an 8 out of 10. Heading towards Ferrari, like guys, obviously Sainz made a very bad mistake in the middle of the race. Well, actually on his outlap on the hards, when the tires were still getting up to temperature, he had a lockup heading into the castle section and just went straight. So he had to reverse out of the runoff area, and he lost a lot of time and a lot of positions. But he still recovered fantastically to be inside the points behind Yuki Tsunoda in 7th. He got 8th. He was ahead of Ricciardo. So I feel Sainz deserves the 7 out of 10 that we gave him. And Charles Leclerc, fantastic qualifying performance, absolutely phenomenal. Just like I said, Ferrari need to work on their race pace. Leclerc gets a 9 out of 10. Into the two Mercedes boys, very terrible weekend from Valtteri Bottas, guys. I actually also gave Bottas a fat round 0 out of 10, but obviously the other Motorsport Lounge members were feeling, oh, don't be so harsh on Bottas and Mazepin, you are so rude. I'm not rude, they did absolutely crap. Not the point. Bottas gets a 3 out of 10 in the end, and Hamilton gets a 5 out of 10. Obviously Hamilton could have won the race, but that lockup at the end cost him a lot. Lewis did have a good qualifying and overall a good race, but the Mercedes were just not on the pace of the Red Bulls. The Mercedes had the middle sector pace, but the Red Bulls actually had the first and third sectors. No, actually, I'm swapping it around. Red Bull were the cars that had the good pace in the second sector, and Mercedes were fast in sector 1 and sector 2, but couldn't get close enough in sector 1 and sector 3, but couldn't get close enough in sector 2 to actually make proper moves on the Red Bulls.
to make proper moves on the Red Bulls. For Pete's sake, Turbo, pronounce your words completely. So yeah, and guys, basically Lewis he threw away a lot of points with that mistake at the end with the lockup. So Lewis 5 out of 10, Bottas 3 out of 10, and finally the 2 Red Bull boys. Now guys, obviously because Sergio won the race, and Sergio overall drove an absolutely fantastic Grand Prix. Checo Perez gets a 10 out of 10. Well done, Sergio. And guys, unfortunately Max did not finish the race with his accident, not his fault, but obviously there was a red flag at the end of Q3 with Yuki Tsunoda's incident, but Max had good pace in quali, and obviously his racecraft and race pace was phenomenal, so Max still gets a 9 out of 10. Now, the team's standings after the previous round in Monaco was Haas. This is like the little Constructors Championship, just so by the way. Haas were in P10 on 36 points. Williams were in P9 with 53. Alpha Tauri in P8 with 61. Tied in 6th place was Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo on 62 points. Alpine and Mercedes were tied in P4 on 69 points, the magical number. McLaren were in P3 on 78. Ferrari second with 84, and Red Bull were in first with 88 points. Now, the standings after this the previous race in Azerbaijan after round 6. Haas are still in P10 with 46 points. Williams are now in P9 with 63. Alfa Romeo are in 8th with 76. Mercedes have fallen massively down the order. They are now in P7 on 77 points. Alpha Tauri are in P6 with 79 points. Aston Martin have moved up to P5 on 80 points. Alpine are now in P4 with 83 points. McLaren are still occupying P3 on 92 points. Ferrari are still in P2 with the first team to be on triple digits on exactly 100 points. And Red Bull are still leading the way on 107 points. So the inner Motorsport Lounge Constructors Championship is really interesting, guys. But Mercedes went from 4th place all the way down to 7th. Aston Martin went from 6th to 5th. Alpine, basically they've just stayed in P4, and Mercedes, Mercedes, Aston Martin and Alpha Tauri have swapped around. Alpha Tauri have gone from 8th to 6th. Beautiful weekend from Alpha Tauri. I can't wait to see what the points are after this weekend in France. Now, heading into the most fun part of the video, well, of the podcast. Guys, the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix predictions from all the members of the Motorsport Lounge. Now, guys, Janco and Jadepie did not do predictions for Azerbaijan, but they will be added for France. So, just bear with us. But for now, my predictions were that somebody crashes at the castle section, which actually this weekend did not happen. The Kryptonite corner this weekend was turn 15. Why? I mean, I can't. But in any case, then I said a Ferrari top 5. Thank you, Charles Leclerc, and Russell points, which I absolutely need to stick my foot in my mouth for. But I got 5 points for my predictions. Then Boosted had a fantastic weekend. He said Bottas top 3. Very, very, very wrong. Obviously, a safe bet with Baku. There will be a safety car. He got one, and that Vettel got a top 10. Vettel was bloody second, so that is 10 points for Boosted. Now, heading towards Jonny. Jonny said Max extends his lead by at least 5 points. He did not, but Lewis also didn't finish in the points, so the top 2 in the championship stay exactly as they are. Lando top 5, which he got 5 points for, and Charles top 3, which was actually pretty close because Charles was 4th. So that was a very, very close 10 points for Jonny, but he only gets 5 for saying Lando will be in the top 5. Then Mrs. Demi had a fantastic weekend with her predictions. She said 2 safety cars, which we did get. Alpine double points finish, which unfortunately we did not have because Ocon retired early, and then a yellow flag in qualifying, which with Baku you are always going to get. So that's a solid 10 points for Demi. The girls knocked it out of the park this week because all of them have received 10 points for their predictions.
Next is Jess. She said Verstappen gets a top 3, which unfortunately did not happen. Guys, if Max finished the race, all her predictions would have been correct and she would have gotten a full 16 points. Not the point. So unfortunately, Max's retirement took Jess's a full 16 points away from her, but her second prediction was 2 crashes in the race. Obviously, just look at Stroll and Max. And then the third one was Leclerc top 5, which she got P4, 10 points for Jess. Then Melanie, she also got 10 points. She said a crash within the first 5 laps, which we actually did not get, which for Azerbaijan is very brain breaking. It's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's really not common. No, it's really common to have an accident in the first 5 laps. So the fact that we didn't have a crash in the first 5 laps was a little bit of a brain teaser. Then her second prediction was a Ferrari top 4. She literally hit that one on the nose because Leclerc got 4th. And her third prediction was a Red Bull podium, which Sergio Perez won, so that counts. Then, now, the standings for the Motorsport Lounge members. Melanie is still in 6th, but with a solid 15 points. Tied in 4th position is Jess and Demi on 20 points. So Melanie is just behind them. Then tied for 2nd is myself and Jonny on 25 points. And in 1st place now is Boosted on 30 points because of his solid predictions for Azerbaijan. He got 10 points. So he is now in the lead of the Team Motorsport Lounge Championship. Now, the 2021 French Grand Prix predictions. Oh boy, I went bold again, and I think I'm gonna regret it. Not the point. Guys, my 3 predictions for France are is that Ricciardo bounces back, number 1. 2 is Ocon in the top 10. And 3rd is Ferrari top 6. I nearly said top 5. Then Boosted said Verstappen wins, Leclerc top 5, and Alonso top 10. Demi said Max wins, Bottas podium, and top 10 finish for Lance Stroll. Very interesting. Jonny said Red Bull top 5, Leclerc top 5, and Max gets pole position in qualifying. Melanie, she said a Ferrari top 6, Verstappen podium, and Mercedes top 4. Jess said Perez joins Verstappen and Hamilton to battle for the win. That's going to be interesting. I would love if that one comes true. Sainz beats Leclerc. Sainz beats Leclerc. Very bold prediction there. And then a Vettel top 8 finish. Then we head to the final 2, the 2 newbies to the Motorsport Lounge. Once again, Janco and Jadepie, welcome. Janco said Verstappen wins, a Vettel top 5, and a safety car within the first 20 laps. And then Jadepie's 3 predictions was Verstappen top 3, Norris gets a top 5, and Vettel a top 7. Wow, the predictions for France are really going to be interesting. Oh my word, this is going to be insane. But guys, that has been this podcast for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Once again, I'm a little bit disappointed that I had to do it alone, but obviously I'm not really mad at any of the Motorsport Lounge members. I understand they have lives and that they are unfortunately very busy people. My final thoughts are just that hopefully with the insane racing we've had this year so far, hopefully for the first time since France has been on the calendar, we've got a good race at Paul Ricard. That's what I'm hoping for, just for a solid action-packed race at Paul Ricard, and hopefully no one just dominates. It's just a good battle, especially the midfield, and obviously Red Bull and Mercedes at the front. Hopefully Ferrari can mix it in there with them. But guys, that has been the podcast, and once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying till the end. This podcast is probably going to be split in 2, so make sure you've watched both. Drop a like down below on both on both parts, part 1 and part 2 of the podcast. Make sure to check out the links in the description down below of any one of the 2. The description will be exactly the same. And if you are new to the channel and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe down below. Don't forget to ding that bell to never miss a future video here on Turbo Fox Racers. Make sure to go check out the playlists on the channel itself so you guys can see all the other content here on Turbo Fox Racers as well. I'm sure that you will be thoroughly entertained. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all for the next video. Cheers!